Hi everyone, welcome to the Inner Circle coaching session. I hope you can see my screen and hear my voice clearly. If you can, just tell me in the chat box that you can see that. Okay, good. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I just finished a 2-hour session for the Strategic CFO program, and I see many names, some of the people who attended that program also part of this uh, Inner Circle coaching program. So appreciate your courage and really desire to learn as much as possible. But the main point I want to say, the something was not working properly, my microphone. So I just want to ensure that it's working properly here. So anytime there is a interruption in my voice, just drop me in the chat box, and I'll try to fix that as quickly as possible. So this session, a lot of new people have joined Inner Circle coaching program. Welcome. And I think it makes sense. So this particular session is related to mastering presentation skills, which is one of the very important topic for your leadership development. But before we go into that topic, I would like to take a couple of minutes to give you an overview of the program especially for the people who are new to this session. Give me a second. Okay, so I'm sure for many of you, this chart is very familiar. Give me a second, I'm trying to fix something. So this chart is very familiar for many of you who have been attending my trainings and coaching programs. We actually created that framework, it's a CFO leadership framework, about 3 years ago. And we took that framework to start training senior finance professionals, mainly for the CFO development. And as you can see, there are certain competencies like personal leadership, public leadership, and strategic leadership. And initially, I offered a 12 weeks program where I would cover each competency each week, and we'll try to finish the programs in 3 months, 12 weeks. And the program went very well. And I think close to 200 people have attended that program so far. But what I realized, because my purpose is not just deliver the coaching, I want to see you really develop into the leadership profiles. What I see that there were so many contents during the program, many people really struggled with the pace and the time frame to really learn everything in 3 months. So based on my own research and my own learning, and that's what I learned from the Daniel Goleman, who is the living legend on emotional intelligence. According to him, uh, leadership skills really cannot be learned in a very time squeezed manner. So examples are that many of you have gone or go to uh, leadership workshops or training program for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, or maybe 5 days. And you must have realized that you go there, it's a lot of time investment and money investment and good content. So you really appreciate that you're learning new things. But by the second or third day, you're already exhausted and your level of reception is slowing down. And by the time you finish the program, you come with a lot of good knowledge and a lot of material. But really, in 4 to 6 weeks, you are back where you started it, basically. So according to Daniel Goleman, the leadership could only be learned in small doses and a slow pace. So I changed the format of this program. I said, okay, we have pretty good content, compelling things to learn, but probably the medium is not effective as it should be. So I changed that 12 weeks program into this inner circle coaching. So what do we do now? Slow pace means that we pick one competency, one topic each month. For example, emotional intelligence or personal branding. We pick that topic, and 1 week we do coaching. So like this session is a group coaching session, and we do for 90 minutes. And then the next week we come back and I invite participants to ask questions, practical questions. And that is how we go through Q&A. The third week of the same month, we try to bring an external expert to really bring some external perspective and also answer questions. So this is what we do each month, 3 sessions for 60 to 90 minutes. And that is how we thoroughly cover one topic, which means that by going through 3 different sessions in with the gap of each week, you really able not only to digest the contents, but really able to apply it. Because what we are learning is these are not theories and philosophies. We are learning practical stuff. You would realize that if you have not attended this session before, you would realize that it's all practical stuff I'm sharing with you. So you can apply at your work tomorrow if you want to. So based on the 3 sessions interaction, you find a lot of opportunities in between to really apply and test the topics and the tools and techniques and come back with your question if you struggle with that. This program we started from 1st of January this year, and many of you are attending since then. So we have already covered 6 months. This is the 7th month, but all the topics are really quite independent, and many people every month new number of new people have started this program and they are continuing. So it's not sequential that if you are starting this program you are missing anything. No, we are picking one leadership competency and going a little more deeper into it, and next month we'll pick the next one, and then we cover these 12 competencies you see in this chart in 12 months. So if you started in January, probably you will finish in December. But if you started in May or June, or maybe starting now, if you continue with this program 12 months, then you will cover the entire framework. And as I said, the purpose is really to develop you into a leadership profile, not really share the contents. And you need time for it. So you can, as I said, that I was doing this program for 12 weeks. And many people learned many good things, but really it was not as effective as it should be. And with this 12-month time span, it is much more effective, and you're learning at your own at right pace and digesting, and not only digesting but applying the techniques in your practical work life, because all of you are practitioners and professionals, so you can apply it. So that is how the program goes. It is also possible, because these are all independent topics, if you want you can pick and choose. I don't recommend that because all topics are very important. But if you want to drop anytime, you can drop anytime and maybe resume the program later on. My intention is, this is the first year, to repeat this cycle. So from January, once we cover the 12 topics, we'll repeat that. But you know what I realized? In today's time, the pace of change is so fast that 12 months is a very long time. I try to deliver webinars, same webinar on career strategies, with a 3-month gap, 3-4 month gap. And I realized things are changing so much that I really have to create a lot of fresh contents. That goes for personal branding, LinkedIn, presentation skills, relationship management. So I'm expecting that by the time I would start the next cycle, things would pretty much change. And I plan to not only repeat the content from my previous delivery, but every time I do a session, I try to bring, at least try to update the content with the fresh material available around it. There is a lot of things are going on and changing nowadays. Okay, so with that preamble, I hope that that clarifies the structure of the program for those of you who are starting now. And the way it works, because there is a lot of people in this program, so we try to keep it in the webinar format, which means that it's interactive. You can always ask me questions through the chat box or question box. And I take a pause in between to answer your question directly online. So during this coaching session, if you come up with any question, feel free to drop in the question box, and I'll stop and I'll pick up those questions and try to explain that. But more formally, as I explained, that the second session of this month, which would happen next week, the same time, that we have designed for Q&A session. And what you could do when you go through these current contents and try to apply it, you come up with a question, you can send in advance to Sabha or to me, or post it on the website, and we pick up those questions from there, or you can ask directly when you come back to the next session. But today's session, I'm going to start the new topic. If you have any question, feel free to drop in the chat box or question box. Okay, good. Okay, so so presentation skills, and I call presentation skills as weapon of mass influence. Weapon of mass influence, not mass destruction. You can influence a lot of people in a very short period of time. So number one thing is that it really helps you establish your personal brand overnight. And I have tested it for many years. So In the last 10 years, probably I changed 3 CFO roles. And my average span was 3 to 4 years in each role. Now, all of you have been working in different corporate organizations for 10 years, maybe 15, maybe longer. And you know that it really takes time to establish your personal brand. It's hard work and takes some time for people to really understand what you can offer and what you bring to the table. And whenever I move to a new role as CFO, I would not have much time to really wait to create impact from my personal brand. So what I would do, uh, I have been, by the way, doing corporate trainings for 20 years, so I have a little experience in it. What I would do as I move to a new organization, uh, I would offer a training, 1 day training, finance for non-finance. And I'll explain more on this training later on with the, of course, agreement of my boss who is CEO. And they appreciate that, yes, we are going to share the finance content with non-finance people. And in 1 day training, that would happen probably the first month or first 60 days. And I will spend 1 day, 1 full day with the management team, mainly the senior people, and explaining them the financial concept, how does it work, how do they can use those things in their day-to-day business roles. And if the 1 day training will create a major impact on them as far as my personal branding and my thought leadership, my expertise is concerned. So within 30 to 60 days, I would really create a very established personal brand for them through 1 day training. So that's one thing you can do similarly in different ways and manners. Number two, it gives you a lot of credibility and establishes you as an authority and thought leader. And we'll talk about some psychology here. When you stand up as a presenter or a speaker, people expect you to share something with authority. They assume that you know more than them on a topic, and that should be the case. And anything you tell, they accept it more willingly. So you can compare with the conversation, that you are having a conversation with someone one on one, and if something comes up, they argue with you, they make the objections, or they bring their point of view. When you are presenting and you are speaking as a speaker, not many people, there would still be question and some different opinion, but most people will listen very obediently, assuming that you are an authority and you're more than them. Also, it helps you develop your confidence. So that's a major issue. With the emerging C-level executives, the people who are growing in the organization, the major issue is not that they are not competent. The major issue is not that they cannot speak. The major issue is with their personal confidence level. And first time, if you stand up for a presentation or a speaker, you might struggle. It would be a challenge, but soon you would realize that you are developing your confidence level very fast, very rapidly. The more you do it, the more you become more confident, which is the key for your success in the corporate roles. And finally, uh, it provides you a deep learning and insight into the subject matter you are trying to present or you are trying to speak. Uh, After completing my MBA and my professional accounting qualification, I started to teach in a business school. And I could tell you that I did not learn as much business and finance and accounting during my studies what I learned during my teaching phase. Because when I prepared myself to teach to the students, I really went very deep into the subject matters. And that is where I really learned a lot. So once you decide to present something or speak something, it gives you opportunity to go a little deeper because you want to prepare yourself. Any question anybody could ask, you should be able to give a clear and good explanation, right? So you prepare from that point of view, and that becomes an opportunity to really learn deeper. And a funny fact I could share with you, when I was doing my MBA, there was one subject called business strategy for full semester. Honestly, I did not learn anything. That was my worst subject. I got a C grade and I hardly passed through. If that time anybody could ask me to define strategy in one sentence, probably I couldn't. Today, I teach strategy to senior business executives. So of course, I learned a lot through the practice and through my experience working in business organization. But I have to really delve deeply. Today in my home library, there are 20-25 strategy books. So I have really gone deeper into it, and now I think I'm an expert on the subject. So that is the benefit when you start teaching or really presenting or speaking on a subject. Let's move forward. So a little bit psychology about the presenting skills. You need to understand that, believe into it. First of all, when you stand up as a speaker or presenter, this is what I said, that you are assumed, you are taken as an authority. You have an authority to say whatever you want to say. People, most of the time, people will accept you, what you are saying as a speaker presenter. Number two, people also, so there are good and bad. People also instantly judge you. If the first time, they will judge you in the first 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes. So you need to be very careful that how do you start? They would not wait for 1 hour presentation or 30-minute presentation. They will start to judge you from the very beginning. So you really need to ensure that you are leaving a very good impact to start your presentation. Then body language really matters. Body language actually matters more than the words, more than what you say. So this is what I say, that presenting is not presenting, it's a performance. And you need to thoroughly prepare for it, thoroughly train yourself, including the body language. And I'll share more techniques and ways how you can do that. Vocal tone changes the meaning. The things, the way you are delivering it, the way you are saying, that your tone may change the meaning. And there are many examples around for the political leaders or other business leaders. And you would notice that some people speak very confidently, very strictly, and very with high level of confidence and clarity. Their message is very different. And the people who speak not very clearly, very loudly, very with confidence, the same words may not have the same meaning. Just assume a situation that you are interviewing someone, and one candidate comes and speak very confidently, very boldly, very straightforward, and other candidate comes and just mumbling, even you have hard time to listen to them. Despite what they are saying, your impression about those two personalities completely spoils for the one who is mumbling. And for the one who is speaking confidently, you develop a very good impression without going into the detail of the words he or she is saying. So be conscious of your tone. And emotions are contagious during presentation. So if you look very down, you are really not energized, this is the message your audience are getting. And my technique is try to increase your energy 10 times. Any presentation, any speaking assignment you have, try to increase your energy level 10 times. Fake it until you make it. And that would be reflected. People will notice it. The best example is stand-up comedians. And there are good comedians. I'm sure you must have watched some performances. Some are very good performance. Some are not that good. But the main quality, the biggest quality of stand-up comedians is keeping their emotions, keeping their mood. Because if they are not performing well, and that is reflected in their behavior, in their tone, in their use of words and emotions, that would be very bad. And I see that some comedians who are even not doing well from a humor point of view, but they keep the mood of the audience very much intact by their confidence. So these are a little point about the psychology you need to understand and see that how could you make adjustments in your own performance, realizing these things. And listening is probably more powerful medium than reading. So when you read, it's passive. You can read faster, slower, or you can take a gap. In listening, you have to be very attentive, and this is what people do. If there is an important presentation, people carefully, attentively listen and pay attention. So what you could communicate by speaking, you may not communicate the same thing effectively by sending an email or sending a written document. Okay, so the main thing is that how do you develop your confidence in the very beginning? And let me tell you, each of you is already a good presenter or speaker if you know the language and you can talk to your friends. These are the two things, mechanical capability, that you know the language, you know the English language or whatever language you are presenting, and you can speak to other people properly. And I'm sure every one of you has the capability to speak very well with your friends, which means that whether you have experience, whether you have done any presentation or not, you are naturally a good speaker. The only issue is that you may not have the confidence. And some people may have less confidence and some people may have more confidence. But as far as the technical capability is concerned, you already have that. Of course, you have to fine tune it. You need to learn a few techniques. But the main learning point here is you need to develop your confidence for speaking and presenting. So how do you do that? The first thing is that any subject you are going to present or you're going to speak, ensure that you have developed a knowledge more than the average person in the audience. Not everyone, because some people might have deep knowledge, but on the average, you have more knowledge of the subject matter than the average member of the audience. And that would give you a lot of confidence already that you know the subject. You can answer any question. That's very fundamental. Number two, never try to memorize things for a presentation. You need to go a little deeper into the subject matter and try to clarify your points in your mind. Try to argue it. Try to go through the objections you may have on your contents and clarify those points from an explanation point of view. Again, you need to talk naturally. Of course, you can improve your speaking style later on, but if you are at the beginning phase of developing skills for presenting, then you need to go natural. And as I said, that if you could talk to your friends, probably you could make a presentation or speaking. But you need to be confident about subject matter and clarify. Now, of course, you could maintain an outline, absolutely. And it is also okay to look at the outline, look at the short notes during your presentation. It's okay. But never try to memorize, because memorize may impact on your confidence level. Rehearsal is very, very important. Speaking is an art, not a science. And anything which is an art, like playing music instrument, swimming, skating, these all things require serious practice. So only practice make you perfect. And one guideline, very important, is that whenever you have a presentation or any speaking, formal or informal, try to stop preparing 2 hours before the presentation, 2 hours before. And there is a science behind this technique or this thing. I'll explain to you. So you might have learned this 4 level of learning or 4 level of consciousness. So you see 4 boxes on your screen. And these 4 boxes are against 2 axes: conscious, unconscious, and competence, incompetence, right? So the first level is that unconscious incompetence. This is the box which applies to babies mainly, because babies are unconscious. They don't know what they don't know, and they are incompetent. So you start your life in this phase, not aware of a skill or what you lack. But you soon develop consciousness. As soon as you start to go elementary school, you develop consciousness. You move to the box 2, that you need to learn something. And then as you move in your life, going college, university, starting your career, you move to box 3, where you are actively learning a skill, and you know that you're learning a skill in college, university, starting your career. Box 4 is the ultimate, where you reach to a level of competency unconsciously, that you are doing something and you even don't notice. Now, learning driving is probably the best example of this 4 boxes of learning. That you, in box 1, when you are a young child, you even don't know what driving is. But as you start growing, you develop some sense that there is car driving, and you need to learn when you reach to a certain age. And as soon as you reach 17, 18, you start learning, and you learn very quickly, but then you are very consciously driving. So you learn the skill, but you are conscious. And soon, in a couple of months, you reach to a level of competency for driving, where you're driving and you're talking and you're chatting and maybe you are texting, which you should not. So that is a cycle. And this cycle goes through goes for swimming, for bicycling, playing bicycles, or playing musical instruments. Any art you can think of goes through the same cycle. Now let's relate it back to speaking. As I said, speaking is also an art. and you would go through the same cycle. Probably you are already in box 2 or box 3, that maybe you have never done any speaking or presenting, but you want to, or maybe you're already doing it, you want to improve it. If you are thinking consciously about your, let's say you are in box 3 and you are consciously thinking about your presenting until the last moment, your brain is very conscious, and you can deliver the performance, but you cannot deliver the best performance. Best performance is always delivered unconsciously. Think of the musicians, the top musicians who play these, who do the performances. They are not thinking when they are playing their instrument. They are not thinking about it, right? That's an unconscious competence. Figure skaters, Olympians, they all do performances at their peak level when they are not consciously thinking about it. It comes itself. Similarly, you must have noticed the top public speakers, they don't think much about speaking. They stand up and they start speaking naturally. That is what you need to do, that prepare yourself, even if you're in box 3. But before you start to really make your conscious mind a little bit passive, you stop learning 2 hours before, and then let the presentation come naturally from your subconscious mind. Okay, so a little bit on the conscious subconscious mind, because this is a very important concept, not only for speaking, but for any other skill you want to learn in your life, very relevant. So we all know that we have two parts of our mind or brain, conscious and subconscious, right? Now, conscious mind, we are very conscious always. We always think we are the conscious mind, we are the logical mind. We think about our consciously about things around us, we make decision, and we make a lot of activities every day, right? That's the conscious part of our mind, but this is only 10%. When we go to sleep, the conscious mind go to sleep as well. Subconscious mind is lot more powerful, lot more capability, lot more capacity, and it never sleeps. So when you are sleeping and you go through dreams or nightmares, that's your subconscious mind. It has much long-term memory, it has emotions, it has deeply established long-rooted habits, and it is also innovation. It is also the intuition, the sixth sense, seventh sense people talk about, that all comes from subconscious. So in the learning process of anything you're learning, the best technique is that you learn in your conscious mind, but then you want to shift your learning into your subconscious mind. This is what Olympians do. When Olympians are preparing for Olympics, they're not learning their skills, they're already masters in it. They are learning brain techniques, how to really shift those skills into their subconscious, so when the moment comes, they are not tense, they are not in pressure, but they are performing naturally. And the same science applies to the art of making presentations. So just a idea to keep in your mind. So everybody is clearly seeing the screen and hearing my voice, because I see a couple of people are just complaining maybe it's not clear or interrupting. Just tell me that if it is clear, screen as well as my voice. Okay. Yeah. More people are saying it's clear. So just check your connection, because if you have a weak internet connection, it started to slow down the voice and it feels like interruptions. Okay, let me move forward. And you would notice that making presentation or speaking is a learnable skills. Now, some of the pictures you are seeing, these have been the great speakers during their times. But if you study their biography, they really struggled. They were so shy that they even couldn't speak in front of a group of people. But they learned it and they became masters. So if you understand the little bit brain functionality, how does it work, you can always develop it. Actually, interestingly, I recently studied a lot about the brain functionality, and there is a concept among the brain experts called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is related to the discovery, it's not very old, that brain is the only organ of our body which does not age. All organ of the body age over a period of time. Brain does not age, it actually gets better. It's like use it or lose it. The more you use your brain, the better it gets. But the very important thing about the neuroplasticity is that the way you develop new habits, so why it is very challenging The first time you want to do something, right? First time you want to go gym, the first time you want to do a different habit, very difficult, challenging, because our brain is not really structured to do that. But if you consistently do that again and again, the same habit, if you keep doing it, soon you would realize it's not that challenging or difficult. Why is it so? Because in our brain structure, there are neural pathways. As we do something new over and over again and again, our neural pathways in the brain started to change. And it takes 30 to 40 days. In 30 to 40 days, if you are doing something regularly, consistently, you develop a new habit because your brain has reformed, its neural pathways have been reformed, and now it's easier for you, right? So with this functionality or ability of your brain, you can learn anything. You have to have the discipline and the passion and the commitment to do those things for 30, 40 days. And brain would align very quickly with you. So this is quite interesting. Now, speaking, there is also considered as the most difficult activity from many sources. And this is one survey. I don't know where is the source of this survey, but they says that public speaking is the second biggest fear among Americans. This is an American survey, 98 2001. And after snakes, they say public speaking is the top fear among those people. And it is quite true. I have also observed myself, unbelievable, some of the very senior corporate executives, when there was a requirement or opportunity for them to come to the stage, they hesitated, and I couldn't really believe it. I observed that during the 10 CFO conferences we have done in the last 3-4 years in Dubai. So I experienced a lot of interaction with the speakers, professional good speakers, and also not that good speakers. But some of the people who are very senior, I thought it should not be a problem for them to speak or present, and it was a big, big challenge for them. So interesting observation. Okay, so let's talk about fear. How could you do that? As I said, honestly, to me, this is more of a confidence and fear issue than your capability issue. Once you start doing it, once you start practicing, it would improve very fast. You would be surprised how quickly it improves with your practice. So let's talk about a practical situation that you have a presentation scheduled. Even it is presentation to the 10 people or 15 people, a usual corporate office presentation, or you have a chance to really speak a larger crowd. I have done a lot of training programs, and if I go to a new place, another city, I don't know, I've done many public training. In public training, I don't know those people who will be coming, right? So my technique is to overcome my tension and pressure is to arrive at least 1 hour before at the place of training, 1 hour before. So you get familiar with the environment, with the training room environment, and that makes you a little settled down. Now, I would split that 1 hour, 60 minutes into two parts. First 40 minutes, I will check the surrounding of the room. How is the seating? How is the lighting? How is the sound and projected everything? Make myself comfortable, make myself familiar with the surrounding. And by the time 40 minutes are done, 30, 40 minutes, then participants started to come. The last 20 minutes or 1 hour, I would use to introduce myself and greet with them, just to know them a little bit, social talk. And that would make me already grounded into this new environment. So if you have a similar opportunity, try to do that. If it is the office presentation, you're making a presentation to a group of 10, 15 people, go a little bit 5, 10, 15 minutes earlier and just go in the training or meeting room and just make yourself comfortable with the surroundings. That would make a difference. Then introduce and chat with the audience. If these are the new people, try to make self familiar, and that would make it a lot more easy for you to make your presentation. Once in any situation like doing a training or making a presentation or delivering a speech, you are in charge of the room during that time. So you need to ensure, it's your responsibility to ensure that the equipment is working fine, people are able to listen to you, there is enough lighting, your slides are in order, everything you are going to use, you need to ensure you are in charge. So that is why it's very important that you go a little bit earlier in the venue and try to ensure everything is working fine. And once you start the presentation, it's not about you, it's about your audience. Don't focus on you. Many people struggle. Should I keep my hands in the pocket or outside? Should I fold my arms or not? Don't think, just go naturally, like you're talking to a group of friends. Yeah, as I said earlier, there are techniques. You can improve it. You can improve your body language. You can improve your tone, but start naturally. Because once you start making adjustments later on, that would be improved naturally. Your tone would become improved naturally. Your body language would improve naturally. If it is first presentation, you cannot really learn to deliver like a professional speaker. Your starting point is do everything naturally. And naturally means just focus on the audience. What they want, what you need to tell them, what's the message you're trying to convey them. Contents and speakers and audience. And one very effective technique is to get a laughter, share a joke. But let me tell you, this is not for everyone. And if you are not good telling jokes, don't do it. I don't do it. I'm not good at that. I know that very well. I cannot share jokes as smartly as some other people do. So I don't share jokes, right? So focus on audience, try to do it naturally, and try to accomplish the objective of your presentation to convey or deliver the contents. If you focus on those, your fears is significantly reduced, if there is any. Know your audience. That's very important. And again, I gave you a couple of times the example of your friends, that how naturally you talk to them, how comfortable you are. Why? Because you know them very well, right? If you know your audience, if your audience is your friend, you will do it naturally. So the one technique is how much you could know your audience in advance. So if it is a office presentation in your company, you already know those people, it's easier. But as you have more and more opportunities, there would be many situations where the audience may be completely strangers, and you need to train yourself to get familiar and acquaintance with them as fast as you can. So the question you need to ask, who are the audience? Who are those people? Where are they coming from? And why are they there? And what is their expectation from this presentation or for this speaking? And why should they listen? So if you answer these 4 questions, it would clarify a lot of things for you. So whether there are finance people or non-finance people, for example, in my finance for non-finance training, I know these are the senior people, but they're non-finance. So I feel more comfortable that, okay, nobody knows the subject better than me, right? A lot of confidence. Why are they there? They are there to learn, right? They are very busy people and they are there to learn. So I need to ensure that I'm really delivering value, because if I don't deliver value, I'm wasting their time. Now, what is their expectation? They want to learn finance to apply. They don't want to learn debit credit. They want to learn the finance so they could do their job more effectively. So you need to really link the knowledge of finance and accounting with their roles, their jobs. And why should they listen? Because you know that stuff, right? You are an expert. If you're a CFO or you're a controller, they already see you as an expert. And they've come to the training because believing in your expertise. And what is the deliverable and takeaway? Part of the questions. At end of the day, 1-day training, what should change with them? So they may have developed some additional knowledge and they will go back with more confidence to use more knowledge of technique of finance and accounting in their different roles. So know them, meet them, greet them as much as you can before your presentation. As I said, that if these are new people, strangers, then go early and try to meet as many people as possible. Even if you don't know everyone, but if you know a number of people, like out of 20 people, you already know 5 people, that's good for your confidence. So that would make you more comfortable. So regarding the preparation of your presentation, as I said, it's a performance. It's an art. You need to practice as much as you can. And during the phase of my career when I was learning, I'm still learning, but I was learning much more at the initial stage. And to practice, how do you practice? So one way I applied practically to improve my delivery of my voice quality, my tone, my rhythm, my pace, is to practice during driving. So when you're driving, uh, usually you are alone, right? And it's soundproof because nobody outside is able to hear you, and you can practice however you feel comfortable. And I did a lot of practice, a lot of speaking, and sometimes to really clarify my voice I did yelling, shouting to see my pitch. So this is a best opportunity. You can use it, and you can do every day. There is a lot of time during commute, so you can do that, and that would, you would notice that it would start to give you more, not only confidence, but fluency in your voice and delivery, fluency which only comes through the practice. And the other thing is that whatever the nature of your presentation, try to create your own contents. So of course, if it is a financial presentation, it cannot be your content is the P&L, the financial results coming from the accounting system. But wherever you have opportunity, you want to bring some other information. For example, you are delivering financial results, but you want to benchmark with competitors to make it more interesting. You can create that numbers on your own by going to the Google, search for competitors if it's a public company, and make the comparison, especially even if the contents are not yours, but you create the slides yourself. That is a lot better because it creates an ownership. Subconsciously, you own those contents and slide, and again, it helps you build your confidence. Usually, I mean, nowadays there is a wealth of information, tons of information available on internet and Google. Any subject I want to really develop my presentation or my contents or my programs, I spend some time on Google, and unbelievable how much information, free information you get with a lot of interesting stuff. Now, this is also a little bit technique that if you are presenting something and you make it a little bit, not much, little bit controversial, it generates more interest. And the example is that last year I was delivering a speech at the CFO conference, and I have good contents to really like what I'm sharing with you in terms of the developing leadership skills and finance profession and finance leadership. So I have a position, I have a thought leadership on the finance profession because I've done a lot of research. I spend my life, and I have some views. And one of my views is that finance profession globally has not done as much as it should have done for businesses. And this is a point of view which is a little bit debatable. Many people, senior people from the other accounting bodies, they don't agree with that. Some senior executives don't agree with that. But look, this is my point of view. I've researched it, and I have very good reason and argument to support it. Benefit is that when I present something like this, it generates interest. People become very interested to listen, and then they are ready to talk to you. And maybe you have some learning into those arguments. Less is more. Any presentation, whether it's a financial presentation or any qualitative, subjective presentation, uh, try to make concise, summarize, precise presentations. Because if you are presenting practically, uh, main objective is to listen to you, not really read the slides behind you. If it is really about the slides or your content, then don't make a live presentation. Just send a photocopy of your document to the people, and probably they could read it better themselves. What you present is only the talking points, or to keep their attention focused. And then you elaborate those points. And I'll show you a couple of examples. And as I said, always keep an outline of your contents, but don't try to memorize that. And just in case you're not sure that you have 1 hour for presentation or 30 minutes or 2 hours, whatever, you're not sure how long would it take, it is always safer to keep some extra material. Because if the time runs faster for any reason, you kept 30 minutes for the Q&A, nobody's asking any question, the time will pass very fast. And you may end up earlier, which is a little embarrassing because people believe that you have run out of your contents. Or if there are many questions goes, then probably you may be short of. Short of time is okay, which is a good sign that people are taking interest in your presentation. But if you finish earlier, then you should have an extra material just in case to fill the gap. So rehearsing and practicing is key for your confidence level. As I said, If you are starting up in this skills, then focus on developing your confidence through rehearsing and practicing. Start anywhere. If you are already a CFO or controller or even a manager, and if there are 3, 4, or 5, 6 people, which is your staff, start with them, because with your staff, you already have a lot of confidence, right? So pick a topic and make a formal meeting, make a formal presentation, bring those 4 people, even there are 4 people, just bring them, ask them that I want to talk about you, and then make slides, use a projector if you can, and make a formal presentation. And that would be your start of rehearsing and practicing. Regarding the contents, these 3 key questions, I think we have covered that in earlier slide, but just to repeat, why your audience should listen to you, what is the deliverable and takeaway, and research your contents extensively. You may not believe some of the topic you think you already have mastery or expertise, and you just spend 30 minutes on Google and you would realize how much things are changing, how fast they are changing. Are you updated? Never put yourself in a situation where audience knows more than you. It becomes very embarrassing. So whatever topic, just research it. In one of my presentation, I present the market cap of some large companies. And even if there is 1 week or 2 weeks, I really have to update it, because I don't want someone in the audience to tell me that Apple market this morning is this much, not what you are presenting on the slide. So develop a habit of researching, and researching is nowadays is very easy with Google. Anywhere, anytime, you can use your smartphone and you can research and get a lot of information. So as I said that if you are facing some new audience, people will judge you very quickly if you are new to them. And for that reason, you need to be very conscious and very careful. How do you open up your presentation? How you start it? First couple of minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes are very, very critical, because that would make a main impact. And also from your confidence point of view, if you make a good start, you develop a lot of confidence and you will keep it. You will keep it. I tell you, the first time in my life when I was going for my first lecture as a teacher in a business school, that was very long time ago. I was, I think, 26 or 27. I finished my MBA a couple of years ago, and this was my first opportunity to teach in that same business school. Let me tell you the truth, I couldn't sleep night before. Honestly, I couldn't sleep. And subconsciously, I was expecting that somehow the school is closed, or somehow the classes are cancelled, or somehow. So subconsciously, I was trying to escape from that opportunity. But anyway, nothing like that happened. I went into class, and only first 5 minutes was a struggle. 5 minutes. And somehow in first 5 minutes, I was stable. And the rest 55 minutes was a piece of cake. Piece of cake, really. Because first of all, these were students. And I was already qualified MBA, and I knew the subject. But first 5 minutes were really struggle and very critical. So how to open a presentation? There are few techniques. And the few techniques is that don't introduce yourself, by the way, that I'm very happy to see you here, and my name is this, and I've come from here. Don't try to capture attention in the very first sentence you make. So usually the best way is to start with a question, or start with a quick story, or share a great quote people will notice, or some alarming statistics. People will certainly notice you. So in most of my finance trainings with senior finance professionals like you are sitting here, if it is a classroom or a live training, usually I start a question. And the question is that if the business world on a scale of 1 to 10 has changed by 10 in the last 15 years, how much finance has changed? Now, this is a very interesting question, and this is to finance. Everybody becomes alert and they want to answer that, right? So that's one way to capture immediately the attention of your audience. Or I may start with a very quick short story. And the example is that when I was doing my MBA, the first semester course, which was Introduction to Finance Business, I came up with something which was very shocking. And simply saying that, people become attentive. What is that, right? It's a short story. And then I tell them that in that book, they said the purpose of every business is to maximize the wealth of shareholders, which is true. But it's a little shocking, right? Or you can make a great quote. Peter Drucker in 1997 said that college and universities are becoming obsolete. 97. Come on, think of this. We are in 2017. It's happening. But he was such an amazing futurist to see that in future in 1997. Or in alarming statistics that unemployment has gone this level, or literacy rate is going down or going up, something like interesting. So opening a presentation is very important. Now, you may say that, look, I'm making a very ordinary office presentation. How should I bring a question or a story or great code or alarming statistics? Well, find the most interesting point from your presentation and start with that. So if you want to share the P&L for this month, you can ask a question. Can you guess whether our profit has increased or decreased this month compared to that? Or maybe can you guess which product has the most sales this month? You need to activate your audience in the beginning. And when you ask a question, they become very conscious and they want to answer that, and they become very alert and attentive to your presentation. Then after you have jolted them a little bit, make them really very attentive to your presentation, then is the time to introduce yourself if they don't know you. If they don't know you, please ensure that they know your qualification, they know your background and know your credentials. So there are two ways. If you're going to a new place, either you arrange with a host that, look, before I come, you can introduce me by sending a small bio, or you can do it if it is informal, do it yourself. And just less than a minute it takes, just introduce yourself. And the main idea of your introduction is to share your credentials. Why are you the speaker? What you know about the subject. Because if you don't share that, they cannot perceive your value to the presentation or your qualification or your credentials. So ensure that you cover that part at the beginning of the presentation. Not very beginning, but somewhere after this first statement. And deliver your hook in the beginning also. So this is all what I'm sharing in this slide is part of your introduction, part of your presentation, opening session. First, I would say 5 to 10 minutes. And you're telling them your hook. Why are they here? Why are you listening to me? What are you going to listen? And how are you going to use it? You need to tell them upfront. So that is how they become interested in your presentation. For example, you will say, by the end of this presentation, you will have a very different view about this topic, something like that. And now they are very attentive. Their brain is really looking for the answers to change the opinion, what you claimed. And then you introduce your agenda, that what you are going to cover in that presentation in 1 hour or 2 hour or full day, whatever it is. And then tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them, and then tell them again what you have told them. So point here is repetition is fine. Many speakers or presenters are conscious that, oh, I have already said that, I should not say that again. You would not believe how little span of attention your audience have. So when you tell them again something, it's basically strengthening in their mind and their brains. And many people would not have noticed that earlier. But you don't have to repeat your presentation. I'm just talking about some very important points if you want to repeat or reiterate. So during the delivery of your presentation, as I said, repetition is fine. Repetition is actually the mother of excellence. This is what it is said. The more you repeat something, it gets better. Now, in the delivery, every person has different pace and rhythm of speaking. Some people speak faster. Some people speak slower. I would suggest that take your own natural pace. But if you believe that you are speaking too fast, that it's becoming difficult for people to understand, slow down a little bit. Try to change that rhythm naturally. Practice more in your car when you're driving and try to slow down your pace. In normal delivery, try to take pauses. If you speak fast, then don't do it continuously. Try to take a pause, and that creates some impact and space for you as well as for your audience. As a general rule, try to multiply your energy by 10 times. Now, you would not be able to multiply by 10 times, but at least that would create a mindset that you need to really be showing your energy, and enthusiasm is contagious, what you demonstrate in your presentation. So try to be a little bit more energetic than naturally you are. And I have seen that some of the very seasoned, I'm not sure if you know Tony Robbins. He's one of my mentor. I have attended a lot of trainings and programs from him, and he's my role model and hero. And he is doing this for last 30-35 years. And even today, when he goes on the stage, he does a 5-minute routine before he jump on the stage. And routine is really very weird. He's shouting, he's yelling, he's moving his body part just to energize his body. But this is the message he needs to communicate and convey to his audience. So do whatever works for you, but just few minutes before your starting presentation, just revitalize yourself. Drink a glass of water, share a joke, something which really energizes you. So for experienced presenters, even for novice presenters, one of the main challenge is really how to keep your audience engaged. It's really very challenging. And as I said, that I have done a lot of live presentations, trainings in conferences, in small gathering, large gathering. And I think I have really skilled myself to keep my audience engaged. In a corporate sitting, for example, you are sitting in the corporate meeting room, right? There are a group of, let's say, 15, 20 people, and I'm making a presentation or a training. I could very well sense who is really paying full attention or who is not. And if someone is not paying attention, I would walk closer to that person and try to look into that person's eyes and keep speaking. And they would immediately become conscious and they would pay attention. Or there are other ways like asking quick yes no questions, or doing a little bit different way of training, like it's moving from slides to videos or flip chart. Body language is very important. So I would say that I'm very good at observing body language. So immediately I get whether the audience are engaged or not. When I started online training, that becomes a real challenge, because even now, I don't know how many of you are sleeping. I hope not. But I'm constantly looking at the numbers, how many people are attentively listening to me. And that's one way to keep me satisfied that my audience are engaged. And I'm also looking at the question box. There is no question, so I'm keep going in. But I look at opportunities to take a pause. And sometimes I take a pause to just sip water. With that brief pause, it changes the pace, right? So the people who are not attentive, they become attentive. So even in online trainings where you don't see the body language, it's very important that your contents are, of course, has to be very, very interesting and engaging. That's important. That's a key. But at the same time, the way you deliver your talk or your content is very, very important. And I think nowadays I'm doing a lot more online coaching and training than live. I like that medium. People from all over the world join and they get the content. Somehow it works very well. As I said, listening is a lot more effective than reading. When you are listening to me, probably you are paying more attention than if I send you the copy of my presentation and you go through it. So, but it is definitely more challenging in online communication than live communication. But the trick is that whenever you're doing presentation, try to identify short objective questions. Short objective questions. For example, during the presentation, just take a pause and ask them, who did study that report, by the way, yes or no? very quickly, some people will say yes, some people will say no, but you change the rhythm, you make them more attentive by asking just some short objective questions. And I ask this question that who has attended my last webinar, and people become attentive. So this is one way to keep them engaged. Stories are always very, very powerful, real life examples, metaphors. Whenever you start a story, people become many folds more interesting into it, and it change the mood of the communication or meeting. You can also use different techniques like presenting slides, and then you shift to a short video clip. And short video clip, very effective, not only that it captures the attention of the people, it gives you a little break, a little relaxation. If it is a 2-minute video, 2-3 minutes, then you have space, you have time to recoup with your energies and your contents. So it's a very effective way. Variation in your presentation mode, like doing a flip chart. So of course you can present everything through slides, but sometimes you go to the flip chart and you start writing something, and that again captures the attention or reignite the attention level of the audience. And the most important thing, or one of the most important thing, is also your enthusiasm and body language. So as I said that it is easy in the live presentations, you cannot see my body language, but I think you can feel the energy in my voice, I hope. I can also speak like I'm speaking now, that your enthusiasm, your body language really matters in your presentation. Or I can say that your body language and enthusiasm really matters in your presentation, right? So there is a big difference. It's not about the contents of the words, it's the way you communicate. So when you bring energy and body language, some people have the habit or the style of really standing at one place or standing behind the podium. It's not a good idea, really. It makes your presentation meeting very dull. Even if you don't have the habit of moving around, just come out behind the podium. Don't hide behind the podium. Stand in front of your audience as close as possible, and that would create a lot more energy in the room. Finally, this is my suggestion. I know that it's not possible in every situation. Don't provide copies of your slide until end, if possible. This is what I said. Sometimes you will be required to provide copies, but if I have the flexibility, I would not provide. Why? Because you must have noticed that in any setting, training or presentation, if you provide copies, people are trying to look at the slides ahead of you. You are on slide 2 and they are looking at slide 5, right? That's not a good thing for your presentation. You want them to stay with you. So if you don't provide anything, they're totally focused on you, right? They're totally focused. They're totally listening to you to get the contents. So this is what I say. If possible, don't provide. Provide that, but after the presentations. Okay, as I said, stories are a very powerful technique of presenting. So I'm looking at the question box just to see if there is anything I need to address now. So there is an interesting question from Basant Modani. How to present to the CEO when it is more of a status update? Stories, questions will not work here. True. This is what I said, that you need to have the level of understanding and maturity to decide where you have to really share a story or ask a question. Or in corporate settings, usually the routine type of presentations, there is not much opportunity. But as I said, that you would, as an experienced presenter, you would soon find those opportunities where you are making a formal presentations. And that is where you really need to prepare very well. Also, the other thing is that many people become conscious that, look, I'm a controller or analyst level and I'm making a presentation to C-level executive. How could I do that confidently? Now, let me tell you, if you are junior in the corporate setting, even if you are junior and your audience are at the senior level, once you stand up as a presenter or a speaker, you have more authority. More authority means that you can speak whatever you want to, and they would listen to you, because this is not about boss and subordinate that you need to ask them, the sir, can I present it? No, you are a speaker or presenter. Of course, they will have questions. Of course, you have to be in certain manners and protocols, but you have a different level of authority when you stand up as a presenter. So, how to tell a story, which is a very powerful technique. Let me share with you a few ideas. So, people remember stories very well. Not only that, remember, they become attentive immediately, and then they remember the stories. But the stories must be relevant to your topic. And preferably, if it is from your own experience, then it makes a lot of sense. Related to the topic, related to your experience, it becomes a lot more effective. Should not be more than 2 minutes, or maximum 3 minutes. Very quick stories. And when you tell stories, don't be shy. Apply emotions. And if it is live, body gestures. Convey your feelings. It's not about words only. That would significantly enhance the impact of your stories. So, at one point of my career, I was traveling a lot. I was based in Singapore, and I was traveling to one of the cities in Indonesia called Surabaya. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. This is the second largest city. At that time, a lot of industrialization was going on in Surabaya. And Philips, the company I was working at that time, they had made a lot of investment there. So I needed to go every other week from Singapore to Surabaya. At the time of one trip, I was planning my trip, and the secretary from the Surabaya office, she called me that said there is a new hotel, and they want to really offer some good incentives. Should I book you in the new hotel? I said, why not? Let's try that. So they booked me in the new hotel. I think that was Radisson. And I went there. That was late afternoon. So I checked in. And while I was checked in, after going through the formalities, the receptionist says, thank you, Mr. Sufi. It's a pleasure to have you here. Okay, that's a routine. And I started to move to my room, guest rooms on the upper floors. Then somewhere outside the reception desk, there was a bellboy or some other attendant. And he greeted me, good evening, Mr. Sufi. So that was a little surprise for me, because when you're talking to the receptionist on the reception desk, they are looking your name and information on the monitor, and they know your name, so they call you by name to make it more personalized. But I did not expect that from someone, a bellboy who was standing in the corridor, but they said, take my name, and I was really felt good. Then I checked in, settled down, and then later on I left for dinner. And while I was going out of the hotel from the main entrance, there was a bellboy standing, a different person, and he again called me, good evening, Mr. Sufi. And that was even more surprise for me, that how come this person standing on the door knows my name. Long story short, even the next morning when I was getting out of the office from the hotel to the office, it was a different bellboy, and they again called me with my name, Mr. Sufi, good morning. And I looked around and said, am I the only one staying in this hotel? And that was not the case. The capacity was probably 300, and 150 people were staying. So I never was able to resolve that story or that puzzle. But one of my close friends in the hospitality industry, another working for another hotel, he told me that, look, maybe because there was so much competition going on in that city at that time, these hotels were experimenting different techniques to engage the customer or make the customer more happy and satisfied. And probably not for everyone, not for 150 people, but probably they pick 15, 20 people in the hotel, and they said, let's experiment by calling them all the time with their name to more personalize it. And guess what? After my stay, I received a very detailed questionnaire about my satisfaction as a customer. And what rate did I give them? Excellent, right? I was so happy and pleased. So this is a short story just to give you some flavor that when you're talking about or presenting, bringing short stories, every one of us have some interesting stories to tell. Bring it, and it really make your presentation and your speech more interesting for your audience. Okay. Give me a second. Yeah. So I was just looking at the question box. There are two interesting questions. Number one is what happens when you are asked a question you don't know the answer. And that's a very practical question because no matter how much you prepare, there may always be a situation that when you don't know the answer. And the best advice is that don't try to fake it, that you know everything. If you really don't know the answer, just admit that I don't know, but I will look into it. I will get back to you. Or I don't have an updated information on this particular question, but I'll check that. I'll get back to you. That is probably the most professional way to handle a question. Don't try to make excuses or don't try to create fake answers. Very clear. And there would be occasions when you have to deal with this situation. That's one. Number two question is that what do you do if in a management presentation you are making financial numbers presented and there are some folks who really look very boring. Yeah, that's very much possible. And again, depending upon your level of relationship and intimacy with them, you can do some humor, or you can make a joke, or you can tell them something in a lighter manner to really change the mood of the presentation. But you have to change the rhythm. Or another very appropriate way is that, look, I see that some people are getting tired. Let's break for 5 minutes, natural break. And serve the dual purpose. It give the message for the people that they have to be attentive, and number two, give them opportunity to refresh themselves. So there are means and ways you can apply to capture back the attention of your people. Okay, so let me complete few more slides, and then I'll give you final tips. So voice is part of your presentation. As I said, that simply uh, changing the quality of voice will change the meaning of the contents. So there are three important things in your voice you need to be conscious of: volume, intonation, and pacing. So what is volume? Volume is the loudness of your voice, how loud you speak. Some people speak very in a low volume, so much low that it's difficult to understand them. So also depends whether large is the room. If it is a large room or hall, try to use the mic and the speakers, because you cannot yell and loud and speak loudly enough for that room. But if it is a small size room, then try to speak louder enough so that the last person in the last row could hear you very clearly. And again, this is more of a matter of practice. Intonation is really the fluctuations in your voice. So you can speak flatly, like avoid to speak in monotone, put more feeling into your voice, and make it livelier by changes in your intonation. This is flat, right? Or you could make more intonation. Avoid to speak in monotone. Put more feeling into your voice and make it livelier by changes in your intonation, right? So again, now I try to do it a little bit with extra for you to notice the change in my intonation, but you should speak naturally. And as I said, that everybody has a natural style. So if you think there is a need of improvement, practice it. The more practice you will do, better it would get. The third thing in your voice quality is the pacing. As I said, some people speak faster, some people speak slower. It should be something which your audience are comfortable with. So uh, again, just best thing is to record yourself, record your voice, record your presentation, and then listen yourself. Where do you fall? And maybe ask opinion from other people whether you should make any adjustments in your voice. But the voice quality, a significant factor in determination of your overall quality of your presentation. So practice your voice. As I said, the best technique is to really practice while you're driving. You're all alone and you can do however you want and you have a lot of time. And assess the quality, whether it's a good or not that good. Pitch of the voice is also very important. And measure the pitch of the voice, that it's not exactly loudness, but when you record yourself, you will feel that whether it's a high pitch or a low pitch voice. And then try to identify a tone which fits your style and become a master of your tone. And as you practice more and more, you would know yourself what is a good tone for you, what is not a good tone for you, right? And manage your rhythm and flow. Fluency comes with the practice mainly. When we speak in a language other than our mother tongue, sometimes we struggle with the flow of some difficult words. First time you're trying to say that, it becomes difficult, but it's very easy with the practice. The more you say a word again and again, it becomes fluent in your delivery. And that is what the flow is about. Now, last thing on this voice control is about the accent. Now, accent is something very different. Accent, if you spend your life in your home country, whether it's India or Pakistan or China or Japan, and then you move to another country with where another language is very common, it's very natural that you will not have the same accent as the locals have. So in it depends upon the environment. For example, Dubai. Dubai is a very international environment. In Dubai, you will find people from all corners of the world, right? In those environments, if you have some accent, it's okay. Nobody expects you to speak in a British accent. You would never have it. But it's okay as long as you could speak clearly so that people could understand it. But if you move to Japan and you learn Japanese and you speak Japanese and there is an accent, there would be serious problem for those people to understand you because they are not used to listen to people with different accents. So as I said, probably it's okay for you. But if you just assess yourself, if you are coming from a regional part of your country and you have a heavy accent, you could not change it completely, but you can make it better. Because I have noticed in many presentations, some people seriously struggle with the accent of some people. They are, by the way, they are speaking correct English. There is nothing wrong with their English. They have a very good knowledge. They have very good vocabulary, but the way they are delivering is not, and it's natural. The language we speak in the early part of life, that change our muscles in our mouth and tongue, and it becomes almost impossible for us to change that accent completely to another language. But you can make it better, right? There are many accent reductions program. If you feel that, I'm not expecting many of you or a lot of you, but if you are exceptional case, you really have a heavy accent, then my suggestion is that if you really want to make a career in an international environment, then spend some time on improving your accent. There are professionals who could help you. By the way, just to share my own story, when I moved from Pakistan to Singapore, I did not have much problem because I was in Singapore, which is very cosmopolitan, very international city, right? But once I moved from Singapore to USA, I noticed that many people are having problem, Americans, with my accent, English accent. And then I did a few programs, short programs, to improve my reduction. And since then, I noticed nobody complained. So again, it all based on your specific situation, where you are, where you want to make your career, what is the customs over there, it's international or regional, and where are you coming from. I think it's a good advice that if you want to spend some time and resources on this improvement, it will make a big difference in your career if you have this particular issue. Okay, so there is another question from Patricia. Okay, how do you have confidence if your audience is smarter than you and may know more about the topic? Okay, Patricia. So interesting. First of all, as I said, that you need to ensure that you know more than the average audience, right? If that is the case, you already have the confidence to make your presentation. But you are right. There might be one or two experts who are definitely known experts. The best way to avoid any embarrassment, don't try to show that you have more expertise than them. Best way, if you are expecting that these experts, so-called experts, might give you tough time, acknowledge them in the beginning of your presentation. Just tell the audience that, by the way, I see Mr. So-and-so sitting and he's really an expert on that particular topic I'm going to present. So if you have any difficult question, please refer to him. Something in a lighter, humorous way, and that would significantly tone down the tension in the environment. But never ever try to exceed your expertise from those experts if you believe that they really know more, rather than acknowledge them and put the burden on them that I will pass all the difficult questions to you. People will take it very positively. So I think there is a question from a new participants, how to get the access to the inner circle material. Yeah, so I did not share with you. After each live session, I will send you the full recording replay as well as the PDF copy of my presentation. So you will have the full access. I mean, some of the participants are not able to attend all the sessions. So if they miss any session, they don't miss actually, because they will get the full recording, full replay, as well as PDF copy of the presentation. So this is for you to catch up or for you to review the material. Okay, let me see what else is left. So language used. So as you speak, we have already talked about a lot of things like emotions, energy, uh, tone. But still, you would notice that some people, when they speak, you don't find any feelings in it, right? Uh, you feel something is coming, but it's not relating with the contents. So uh, test yourself based on the content. What are you trying to convey? Try to bring some feelings into it. It's always much more effective. Short sentences, simple words, uh, slowly, clearly, really makes a big difference. And if you look around some of the politicians, I'm not a big admirer of them, but looking closely at their strengths and weaknesses, some are really very good masters in speaking. They speak with so much clarity and confidence that even they tell a lie, people believe into it as if it is true, simply because of their confidence and the way they deliver. Regarding the body language, also include the movement. If possible, uh, as I said, never hide behind the podium. My style is really walking a lot on the stage. If I have the open space, this is naturally comes. I even don't notice if I'm walking, but I'm walking and I'm speaking. Everybody has a different style. The best you could do, if you don't have the habit of walking around, it distracts you, at least come in the front. This is what I said earlier. Don't, if you have the habit of standing one place, don't try to move consciously, or if you have the habit of moving around naturally, don't try to stay consciously. So whatever you do, if you do naturally, it would come out naturally. If anything you do artificially, you would look nervous. So again, let me repeat one more time. You may have a natural style which has several shortcomings in it. It's okay to start your journey with that natural style. As you move in your journey with more and more practice, you will change those shortcomings naturally to make your new improved natural style. That should be the way. Don't try to do things under pressure or with artificial efforts. Okay, body language. So Okay, so here are some practical tips for your day-to-day meetings. If you are in corporate environment, there would be situations where you would be called for a meeting and you would also call and required to share something. If that comes an opportunity and you have to share something important, then don't just remain seated in your seat. Uh, Try to stand up if you can. Again, make a conscious, appropriate decision whether it looks awkward or it's okay. Usually, if you have a 5 minute, 10 minutes window to share something, and you ask the audience, there are 10, 15 people, and you ask them, look, I have prepared a few slides for it. Would you mind if I present this information through my slides? They usually appreciate it, that you have taken this as an important thing and you have given them importance to present through a slide. But the idea here is that that is your opportunity to practice in front of the formal audience. So rather than really remain seated in your chair during that meeting and speaking informally, you stand up, you use 2, 3, 4 slides, whatever they are, and you present formally to them. You're not only practicing, you are delivering something with a lot of authority and formality. Look, the one thing which would notice immediately changes in your audience is the acceptability of what you are presenting. When you are sitting around the table as a member of the or participant in the meeting, you are talking, you are conversating, and anything you are talking or conversating is at an equal level. People will argue, people will argue back, but when you stand up, it's not conversation anymore. It's a presentation. You are presenting something with authority, and people normally don't challenge you. I said normally don't challenge you. Might be some people who will challenge you, but normally they don't. The psychology change, and they are more acceptable what you are telling them. More importantly, you are developing confidence by standing and presenting in front of them. So this is again one of the very powerful technique I have used. Uh, Eye contact, not everybody has a problem, but some people have a problem. If you have that issue, work on that. It's fixable. Emotions, energies are also very important. Natural style. If you are talking with some enthusiasm, energy, you will notice that your hands are moving very fast. Natural gestures coming out, and that enhances the effectiveness of your communication. Uh, Many people make a mistake that when they are presenting and the screen is behind them, they turn their back towards audience, and now they are reading the slides from the screen and audience are looking at their back. Not a good thing, not a good thing at all. The best way is that, as I said, go in advance to the meeting room and check the setting. Put your laptop in front of you, so there may be a screen behind of you, which is fine. You need to put your laptop somewhere in front of you, so you keep looking at the audience and you keep looking at the laptop in front of you and reading from the laptop, not from the screen. Now you can point out the screen a couple of times, but don't turn yourself entirely to the screen and read from the screen. And regarding the dress, uh, 10 15 years ago it was very formal practice, that if everybody is putting a suit and tie, probably you have to have a suit and tie. If it is formal or informal or casual, you need to follow that dress code. Today it's becoming a lot more informal. In most cultures, there are still cultures who are very rigid and restrictive, but more commonly, the personal choices are becoming more common. So really, it's up to you what you feel comfortable, and use your common sense and judgment. I'm not suggesting that if there is a very important meetings with your board of directors, you go in jeans. I'm not suggesting that. You know that it's a formal meeting, but usual day-to-day meeting, uh, if you are comfortable in casual, go casual. Don't worry if everybody else is putting a tie in a normal day-to-day meeting. Or if you feel more professional putting a suit and tie, put suit and tie, despite everybody is casual. But very important, formal meetings, just be conscious. If you're not clear, then check with someone else what is the dress code. But as I said, uh, generally speaking, there is more and more open culture of acceptability based on your personal choice. So folks, this is where I still have a lot of material to share with you, but I would like to stop here. with these contents. I think you already have enough for today. Next week is a Q&A session. In Q&A session, I would not only take your questions, practical questions, which you can send me during the week to Sabha or to me, or you can ask during that next week at the time of the session. But I would also like to share with you some of the practical areas how to prepare your presentation. PowerPoint tips, for example. Many people make a lot of mistakes with PowerPoint. So I will explain that part, how to make your presentations and how to make boring financial numbers interesting for your audience, because that's a very practical problem. Most of you are from finance, so it would really help you in your day-to-day sharing the numbers or presenting your contents. And in the week after, we'll see how are we making progress. If we need to bring an expert from outside, I will bring expert. Sometimes there is so much to share between ourselves that I also may take the role of an external expert continuing with the topic. But it all depends upon your engagement and your requirement and your questions. So let me take a final look at the question box. Okay, so first question, I'm reading it from the bottom up. Is there any books or presentation? There are a lot of books, but honestly, I have not found out any practical book. I mean, what I have shared with you, that is all you need. And you would find, even if you refer a book, you will find that I have, by the way, 5 books on the presentation skills in my own library. There is nothing new in it. It's all the same thing repeated differently. So for this particular session, I don't suggest any book. My advice is that I have already shared a lot of practical tips with you. Start practicing. You cannot learn swimming remaining outside the water. You need to jump into it. That's the only way to learn swimming or any art. The other question is, do you have any helpful template? I use a lot of templates myself. If you look at my presentation, if you like it, I can share it with you. But probably my advice is that work on your own design. Nowadays, it's very easy for you. I would talk about next week about how to create interesting slides. And images are very, very effective. And you can very quickly Google them and paste them and make it more interesting, design and art and images. So I'll cover that part next week. Making financial results interesting. Yeah, this is I would cover next week, how to make it a story, interesting story for your audience. Toastmaster Club is the best place to gain. Absolutely. And Toastmasters in every large or mid-sized city, there are not one club, there are several clubs. So I think this is a very good idea. If you can join a Toast club, then do join it. It will provide you a lot of opportunity to speak up and develop your confidence in front of other people. So the next question is what to do when a question goes into more technicalities and details, where to stop. Yeah. So it might happen that someone asks a question and you answered it, and they ask another subsequent secondary question, you answered it, and looks like that they are not really leaving you with that particular question. You need to use your judgment, whether it's technical or non-technical. In a group setting, everybody has certain rights and certain obligations, and their right is to ask a question, but your obligation is to make it interesting for everyone in the group. So when you see that it's really lingering on unnecessarily, you need to turn it down. And there is a polite way, a professional way. Just tell them, look, maybe we can talk about this thing in the break, in the tea break. Or maybe I have more information when you see me in my office later on. Or maybe we could talk this subject between ourselves. 2 of us is more interesting. Say something which clearly conveys your message that you don't want to talk about that topic anymore, politely, professionally. That is the best way to handle it. Okay, folks, so it's 5 minutes exceeding our time. So thank you very much for your listening today, especially the new folks who have joined. Hopefully it was useful and interesting for you. You will get the recording playback and the copy of the PDF definitely before I go to bed today. And send me your question. And I think our next session would also be very interesting. Thank you very much. and goodbye now.